Let's take a look at an overactive immune system, something we call autoimmune disease, or something where the immune system is attacking the body. Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Minke. This is Minke Wellness. So is there something we can do in a wellness category if we have one of these illnesses that's autoimmune? So, what are those? If the immune system attacks the thyroid, I think it's called Hashimoto's. If the immune system attacks the pancreas, then you can actually end up with diabetes. That would typically be type 2 diabetes. That would be after you're not born with it. The immune system is reacting later. You could have the immune system attacking the nerves, in Guillain-Barré syndrome. You can have that also. I think even the MS, multiple sclerosis, is considered somewhat autoimmune. And then you have various lupus kind of things that are autoimmune. So obviously these are all very, very different manifestations, and it's obviously in a very extremely complex situation where the immune system has stopped recognizing the difference between a pathogen, some foreign body, and its own self. So self-recognition. But is there something we can do about that in a wellness category? What do I do, right? And so let's talk a little bit about it. And I am going to lean heavily on the field of phychoneuroimmunology, i.e. that your brain and your thoughts, what you do with your thought process, can and does affect your immune system. So I'm going to suggest that we can do, yes, there are some basic body wellness things we can do, but there's also some breathing we can do and engage our consciousness through breath that would help our immune system. So there's obviously issues associated with all of these autoimmune functions or autoimmune problems where the actual organ is being affected. So if you have Hashimoto's and the thyroid is being affected, obviously you need to do something to support the thyroid function. And then same thing with the pancreas to support the pancreas function. So I'm not going to address each of those. You can think about how to address each of those different situations. But I want to talk about the actual immune system. So one of the causes for autoimmune responses is the lack of antioxidant support during a time of illness. So let's say that there's a pancreatic fluke, like a little parasite that is in there and gets into the pancreas. And so the immune system is over there trying to attack this bug, this parasite, little worm, and it's tiny microscopic little worm. Human intestinal fluke is present in like 80% of the people they test for it. So it's mostly harmless. It just kind of hangs out. It's opportunistic. But these flukes, if your immune system drops, if you hurt your immune system with some injury from the outside, I'm going to suggest, such as a vaccine is an injury to the immune system. You can end up with a situation where something that would normally just sit there harmless in the background, you live your whole life with an amoeba or a parasite in your gut, not really doing much, and then all of a sudden the immune system is weakened or irritated or something's going on, and that thing moves into an organ and can affect that. So here's for example, pancreas. So let's say, like I said, we've got a pancreatic fluke, or a fluke that's gone into, fluke meaning like I said, a little worm, gone in there, and it starts, so the immune system goes, we've got to attack this fluke. So they move in, and so, immune cells come in, and they start looking for the enemy, and they will produce a whole bunch of free radicals to try to kick out irritate the fluke, the foreign body, and they'll create this oxidative damage. And so these cells are recruiting, this is the first line of defense, and then they recruit the second line of defense, so the adaptive immunity. And so any of these foreign material, this foreign body that the immune system has identified as an enemy, now the other cells come along and they produce antibodies to those, okay? The problem is if there's not enough antioxidants, then that process of inside the cells, the immune cells inside the body cells, if there's not enough antioxidants to protect against that oxidative stress moment, that burst of hydrogen peroxide or other free radicals that the body produces, that the cells produce to kill the microbe, if there's not enough antioxidants, then the actual immune cells themselves or the pancreatic cells get damaged, okay? So if the pancreatic cell gets damaged, and then we've got this antibody response coming in, and it's kind of indiscriminately creating antibody responses to whatever quote unquote foreign protein is there, but it's not recognizing, because we've got the damage the damage from the immune system is creating the damage, and it shouldn't be. There should be antioxidant protection in our own tissue. So if the tissue is weak in that antioxidant protection, it's getting damaged by the immune system at the same time, and it's starting to become recognized as foreign material. It's just a mistake. It's an imbalance. It shouldn't happen that way. In our diet, we should be getting plenty of antioxidants. The problem is we're not. Our diet is very low in antioxidants. By the time, if you ever eat an apple right off the tree, you know how fresh that is, how vital that feels, and you wow, this apple is amazing. And then if you wait 3 days on that very same apple, we did this, we picked apples fresh from an orchard, and then 3 days later after we drove to home, I was eating these same apples, same tree, same apples. It should have been the same freshness, but 3 days later, and it was not the same apple. It was already lesser, already dead. And so most of the stuff that we're getting in our store has been picked, days, weeks ago, and been, sat in the refrigerator. And yeah, for the most part, they're trying to preserve the nutrients, but those nutrients drop off very quickly. So our antioxidants are getting depleted very quickly in our food, and we need to support that system. So we need to flood the body with antioxidants to protect itself, protect our own body, our own tissues from the immune system and from those immune system responses. So that includes vitamin C as an antioxidant, very important part. So that is a very important wellness approach we can take to prevent the possibility of these autoimmune responses that they go along. Now, in the meantime, though, what do we do? How do we help? So now, one of the things I would advise to calm down the immune system is to not take the herb echinacea. The echinacea actually tends to stimulate the immune system, and I also have an autoimmune disease called erythema multiforme, and in that thing, when I take echinacea, it overactivates my immune system. So I'm just telling you from my experience, just avoid echinacea if you're in an active state of autoimmune. The other thing you can do is to use breathing to calm down the immune system. So if I were to breathe in and imagine I like a rainbow for the immune system. So I got the rainbow and I've got Roy G. Biv, right? Red, orange, or actually the red's on the outside. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. Okay, so there's our blue, indigo, violet. So there's our rainbow. So I breathe in and I imagine my immune system, and I said, tell my body, okay, tell me my immune system, here's my immune system, show me my immune system as if it were a rainbow. Okay, and I can see for mine, the yellow is way overblown, it's overactive, it's flashing, and so I want to calm that down. So I'd calm down that yellow immune part of the immune system because it's overactive. Now there might be some other part of my immune system in the color system that is low, so it looks like the blue is completely gone. So I would want to breathe in the blue, breathe in the blue, imagine that blue coming. So I keep working on that with breath until I get a nice rainbow. Now once I get the rainbow, that's God's promise of peace and protection. So I let that full, complete rainbow radiate over and through my body. Because the immune system's through my whole body and through the cells, I go to the blood and I let that energy flow all the way through from the feet all the way up to the top of my head, out to my fingers everywhere. So I imagine that peaceful God's promise coming into my body and going in. So that you could do a simple breath, takes a minute or two, imagining that, and if that system works for you, if that imagination system works for you, you can use like the rainbow. Okay, so that's just a technique that I use. You can always it's important to continue doing wellness approaches, which is drink your water and do the right things, avoid your poisons, watch out for your heavy metals. Those are going to hurt the immune system. But how do we go forward from there and then, like I say, what can I do? And I think engaging your brain with this breathing is a very powerful way to do that. Happy wellness, one day at a time.